Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the train shed. Today we're looking at, and you can see him, Percy. Welcome back to Train Talk. So yeah, Percy is from Thomas the Tank Engine, if you don't know, and is one of the earliest models I think I got. Thomas and the Pugs came first, and then I think it might have been Percy after. But if you want to know a bit of information, because we actually have some for once, I'm actually giving you real life information. According to Google, everyone's favourite news source, Percy is actually based off an 040 ST steam locomotive. The ST, for context, standing for saddle tank. Now, I've not had much information for 040 ST. When you look on the Wikipedia page, you barely get anything apart from a few other images. But surprisingly, there's actually a bit of information from one of the 040 STs in real life, this being GWR number 1340 Trojan. Now, I can give you a bit of information about that, and let's just say it's sort of similar for Percy. I don't know the Thomas the Tank Engine lore at all, but Trojan at least was built in 1897. I don't know whether sort of its similar classes are built around the same time, but it was built in Bristol, and currently is actually in Didcot Railway Centre, which I actually went to a few months back, and I do remember seeing it. I did think it looked fairly similar, I will admit, but I didn't really think anything of it. Speaking of stuff I don't think often of, I can actually get some right here and kind of compare some stuff. So let's get the Caledonian Pug. And in a way, they're kind of similar. I mean, it makes sense because they're both 040s. You can kind of see what I mean in how they look. I know that isn't really good to look at, but let's just say have that there and then have that there, for example. Of course, they're not going to go similar, so it looks quite bad, but you can see they look pretty similar sort of shape and all that. And obviously the cab looks pretty... Actually, the cab does not look pretty similar, because if you notice, and I'll pick you up for a second, Percy is more enclosed, as you can see here, while the Caledonian Pug is actually a bit more open. Is that coal? You would have thought it would be like coal there. You can't really see it in the light, I do apologise. Well, there isn't actually anything like that there, so they are a bit different, but you can tell they are sort of similar, which just makes sense as both are 040s. There is another difference actually. You can see that is different to that. I don't know the actual technical names, which is quite annoying. But this is pretty similar. There's that 2 there, and there's actually 1 there. So much for good quality with the lighting and all that. We can now focus more on Percy in his life at this glorious model railway. So let's get to that now. So here we are with this very creative angle, and you can see Percy. Now, Percy has been around for quite a while, as I said. Not my oldest loco per se, but he has been here for quite a while by now. Probably at least maybe 4 or 5 years. I swear it wasn't too long after Thomas or the Pugs. I can't really remember the dates now, but yeah. Percy is here. He's still in pretty good condition, I'd say, regardless of the time. There is one issue, and I will say, it's quite horrific, so children ignore. Basically, his head can fall off, which is quite weird. So you basically just have the equivalent of essentially like the pug here, just although it's hollow essentially, and it's quite creepy. It looks like something out of some weird sort of horror film type thing. So I always need to put his face back on. But apart from that, he runs pretty well. Now I can give you a little run through. Annoyingly, I've just mounted the camera or phone on the controller which it's needed, so we can actually maybe make it a bit better and put it on the other one. That might help a little bit, although actually it probably will knock over when I move Percy. So plus I've actually just realised I have another train on the track, but as it's not going too far it shouldn't matter just yet. But here's Percy, and he's derailed. You can have a look at that. Oh dear. Right, so Percy's now back on the track after that ordeal. We've also got the other train which is on the line off, so hopefully Percy will work better. I've noticed you can barely see Percy, so that was proof that wasn't worth it. So we can get up here. So for that we can move Percy. And sometimes he needs a bit of encouragement, but when he moves pretty well. I'd say that some of the hesitant pauses, some of the pauses are down to the track rather than Percy himself. I'm not 100% sure, but I might have to clean the track because I only have the railway up every so often, so I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a bit dusty. So yeah, Percy runs pretty well. Obviously, as you can see, I didn't do something on how Percy looks, but I mean, it's fairly cheap. It's for a little loco. It's not much to expect. This is mainly down to obviously it being, well, kids will want it essentially, so they don't want it to be too expensive. So you can tell it's more like sort of more of a budget. If you compare this to basically some like the Bachman American ones, you can tell that this definitely has. If it was a bit cheaper compared to these, obviously I haven't seen any in the flesh, but you can kind of feel the same for Thomas in a way. I mean, they're still good locos per se, but there's clearly some parts where I don't know whether it's because of my own use or whether that's just how it came. You can tell there's a few like limitations in a way. That could just be me nitpicking or something, but who knows. So yeah, this was Percy. Another installment of Train Talk done. I tried to actually do a bit more research once this episode, and hopefully I'm also going to aim to be fairly consistent, so I'm going to record another video literally straight after this, which you'll hopefully see. But that's enough of me for today, and thank you for visiting the train shed once again. Goodbye.